Hello and welcome to day 5. Today is workout 2B, so Shakespeare's favorite workout. To be or not to be. Cracked myself up. Anyway, it is workout 2B, which is shoulders and arms. So make sure you go check out the workout document or the app so that you can see if you have any questions or exercise swaps needed, and then get ready to get into the gym and crush it. Since we are circuiting through the different muscle groups and breaking down exercises on the workout days, today we are going to be covering an exercise that has been a tremendous staple for me in helping build back thickness and detail. So I'm going to show you a video demonstrating the exercise, breaking it down, and then we're going to go in a little bit more depth, just like yesterday's video for chest, on how you can get optimal growth out of your back and what keys you want to focus on with any back exercise. Let's get to the demonstration video. Today's exercise, we are going to be focusing on the hammer strength seated low row. I absolutely love this exercise for back thickness and detail, as it allows you to support your chest, taking some of the pressure off the lower back and allowing you to focus entirely on the range of motion, getting a full controlled negative and stretch and a full squeeze and contraction at the top. This is something that can be difficult to do with bent over barbell and T-bar rows. While I very much enjoy and use those exercises, it's hard to really slow and control the negative down on those exercises where the hammer strength allows this quite easily. This is my working overload set, and you'll notice how slowly I'm going on the negative portion. I'm exploding up, driving back with my elbows, squeezing the shoulder blades together, squeezing the back, and then slow and controlled, lowering the weight back to the starting portion. You'll also notice I am getting a little bit of movement in my lower back, and this is intentional, as I feel a better contraction throughout my entire back by arching slightly at the top, allowing me to get that maximal squeeze, and then actually allowing my lower back to round just ever so slightly at the bottom as I push my shoulders forward and allow the weight to pull me into the seat where my chest is supported. This emphasizes the stretch and really opens up the back, and I have found this to be key to developing all the detail in the mid to upper back. I also like this exercise for the traps. As you are pulling from a lower position and driving your elbows up and back, I like to shrug my shoulders up ever so slightly at the top, bringing the traps in and tying in that upper to middle lower trap area very nicely. The other thing you'll notice is that I'm keeping my feet braced the entire time. I'm not wiggling or squirming around on the bench. As always, everything is rock solid and stable, and I'm focusing just on making the movement initiated with my back and driving through the elbows. You'll notice on the last couple of repetitions that I just demonstrated, as I'm getting closer to failure, I allow myself to speed up a little bit just to get those last few reps and really push close to failure. So when you can control the negative, control it as much as you can. If you have a couple repetitions left and you find yourself at the point where you can't go quite as slow, that's where it's time to channel that aggression and willpower and just drive out those last couple of repetitions and finish the set strong. However, you don't want to start with repetitions like this. Start as perfectly as you can, and if you need to get 2 or 3 more at the end with that little bit more aggression, then go for it. At this point, the back will be completely taxed, and even the faster repetitions will be just as effectively tapping into those muscle fibers, as they will already be mostly exhausted. This is definitely a great exercise if your gym has it. If it doesn't, you can set up something similar with a different hammer strength type row or with a cable row. So I hope that video was informative for you. If you do have any further questions on the exercise that we just covered, feel free to leave a comment down below and I would be happy to answer that. But now let's go into a little bit more detail on the nuances of back training. First off, while the back flows together as a beautiful and perfect symphony, if trained and built correctly, it is broken down into many different muscle groups to create the entire back. A simplified way to break it up would be you have the lower back, or the erector spinae muscles. Those are the muscles that stand out in the lower back and kind of form the trunk of that Christmas tree. If you see bodybuilders getting ready for a back lat spread and you see that Christmas tree come into play, those are the two muscles running along the bottom of the spine. You also have the lats, which make up the width of the back. So the lats attach under the armpit and form a sort of triangular shape and are responsible for moving the scapular bones and protracting and retracting the scapula, creating that width in the back. Then you have the upper back, which is comprised of muscles such as the trapezius, which actually extends all the way down to the middle back and then up to this portion on the shoulders. And then you also have the teres major and minor and the rhomboids. So there's a lot of muscles that make up the back, but for the simplicity of things, let's break it into the lower back, the lats, and the upper back. So the lower back, or the erector spinae, is worked mostly with spinal flexion. So this is where, if your abs are crunched forward, you're extending backwards against the weight. Think any sort of hyperextension movement, or deadlift movement, or any sort of unsupported bent over rowing movement, such as the barbell row or the T-bar row, where you don't have your chest on a pad and are forced to recruit the lower back to stabilize yourself. This muscle is key for building an aesthetic physique, as you want to have that definition and detail in the lower back when you get lean. Moving up and out to the lats, this exercise is worked with any sort of pull down, pull up, or pull over movement. The main function of the lats is to take the elbow in a fully stretched position all the way up and drive it down and behind, wrapping around the back. So any sort of pull down movement, pull ups, machine or dumbbell pullovers are going to work the lat muscle. Keep in mind, you do want to take the lats through a full range of motion as much as possible. So it's important to get that full stretch and that full contraction on the muscle. This is where it's important to do a variety of exercises, because there's typically not one single exercise that gives you the benefit of both. A machine pullover is the closest you can get to getting that full stretch and full contraction on the lat, and we will cover that in a later video. And last but not least, we have the upper back, which is worked with any sort of rowing movements where the elbows come slightly away from the body. Any sort of shrugging movements work the upper trap muscles, and those muscles are going to be engaged with proper form deadlifts. So to simplify things, think of the angle of where your elbows are going as what area is going to be doing the most work for your back. If your lower back is flexing and extending, your lower back is going to be taking a lot of the load. If your elbows are stretching up and coming down and across your body, wrapping to the side and around, your lats are going to be doing most of the work. If your elbows are coming slightly out and you're pulling your shoulder blades together, a lot of the muscles in the upper back, such as the mid-trapezius, teres major and minor, and the rhomboids, are going to be coming into play. It's all about those angles, and that is why this program is designed to make sure that we hit every one of those angles, progressively overload on them, and maximally stimulate every area of the back to create that beautiful and complete symphony in the end. A couple other tips for back is this is where I find it most beneficial and important to have a little bit of extra training equipment, especially as you get stronger. I find it very helpful to have a belt for lower back support as I start to get heavier and stronger on any sort of deadlift or bent over unsupported rowing movement. This just is an extra precaution to make sure that you can fully brace your core into the belt and you don't have to worry so much about injury. The other important thing that I find for back training is the use of wrist straps. This helps if your grip starts to become a limiting factor on any of your lifts. I would not use the wrist straps on every single lift, especially not the warm-ups, as otherwise your grip has no reason to get stronger. However, on the progressive overload sets, if your grip is giving out before the actual intended muscle that you are training, then I highly advise the use of straps so you can train the muscle to failure without your forearms giving out first. So that covers some of the back basics. We'll go more into detail into other back exercises as well as covering the muscle groups of the entire body throughout the next 6 weeks. So I hope you found this informative and helpful. If you do have any further questions, like I said, feel free to drop a comment below and I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, have a fantastic workout and I can't wait to see you in the next video.